The night sky over the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico was clear and full of stars. Dr. Maria Rodriguez yawned as she stared at her computer screen. It was another quiet night shift, monitoring the vast emptiness of space for any signs of unusual activity. She reached for her coffee mug, only to find it empty. "Great," she muttered, pushing herself away from the desk. Time for a refill. As she stood up, a sudden beep from her computer made her freeze. She spun around, eyes wide, and rushed back to her station. The screen was flashing with an alert she had never seen before. "What the?" Maria leaned in closer, her heart racing. The signal was unlike anything she had ever encountered. It wasn't random noise or a glitch in the system. This was a pattern, a repeating sequence that couldn't be natural. With shaking hands, she picked up the phone and dialed her supervisor's number. "Dr. Johnson, you need to see this. Now." Within hours, the quiet observatory was buzzing with activity. Scientists from around the world were contacted, and soon, video conferences were being held in every available room. The signal was confirmed to be coming from just beyond Mars' orbit, and it was definitely not natural. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Johnson addressed the gathered crowd, his voice trembling with excitement. "I believe we are not alone in the universe." The news spread like wildfire. Governments around the world scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were held at the United Nations, and space agencies from different countries began working together like never before. NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, and CNSA pooled their resources. They had one goal: to investigate the source of the signal. A joint mission was quickly planned, using the most advanced spacecraft available. The chosen crew was a mix of the best astronauts from different nations: Captain Sarah Chen from the United States, Flight Engineer Yuri Petrov from Russia, Science Officer Dr. Aisha Kwizi from Kenya, and Communications Specialist Jacques Dupont from France. As the crew prepared for their mission, the whole world watched and waited. Schools held special classes about space and aliens. People stayed up late, staring at the night sky, wondering what secrets it held. 3 months after the signal was first detected, the crew was ready. The launch day arrived, and millions around the world tuned in to watch. The spacecraft, named Earthlight, stood tall and proud on the launch pad. T-10, 9, 8. The countdown echoed across the launch site and through televisions and radios worldwide. 3, 2, 1, liftoff. The rocket roared to life, pushing against gravity with all its might. Slowly at first, then faster and faster, it climbed into the sky. People cheered, cried, and hugged each other as they watched the Earthlight disappear into the blue. For weeks, the crew of Earthlight traveled through space, sending regular updates back to Earth. They passed the Moon, then Mars, moving closer and closer to the source of the mysterious signal. Then, on a day that would be remembered in history books, Captain Chen's voice crackled through the radio. "Houston, this is Earthlight. We have visual contact with something. It's huge. Multiple objects. They look like ships." The control room erupted in gasps and excited chatter. On screens around the world, the first images started to appear. Massive structures, clearly not natural, floated in space. They were sleek, with strange patterns on their hulls that seemed to glow faintly. "Houston," Chen's voice came again, filled with awe. "We are not alone. I repeat, we are not alone. These are definitely spacecraft of some kind. And they're not moving. They seem to be stuck." As Earthlight moved closer, more details became clear. The alien ships were dark, with only faint lights visible. They didn't react to Earthlight's approach. Dr. Kwizi's voice joined the transmission. "Based on our readings, these ships appear to be without power. They're adrift in space. Whatever brought them here, they're now stranded." The crew of Earthlight looked at each other, the weight of the moment heavy on their shoulders. They were the first humans to make contact with an alien civilization, and that civilization was in trouble. Captain Chen took a deep breath and spoke into the radio once more. "Houston, we are going to attempt communication. We are facing a situation no one on Earth has ever prepared for. We have found aliens, and they need our help." As the transmission ended, a wave of excitement, fear, and wonder swept across Earth. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. The crew of Earthlight floated in their spacecraft, hearts pounding as they approached the alien fleet. Captain Sarah Chen's voice was steady as she spoke into the radio. "Houston, we're preparing to initiate first contact protocols." Dr. Aisha Queasy, the science officer, was busy at her station. "I'm detecting faint energy signatures from the largest ship. It might be their command center." "Understood," Chen replied. "Jacques, start broadcasting our first contact message on all frequencies." Jacques Dupont, the communications specialist, nodded and began the transmission. The message, carefully crafted by Earth's best linguists and scientists, was a series of mathematical sequences and simple pictographs designed to demonstrate peaceful intentions. Minutes passed like hours as they waited for a response. Suddenly, Dupont's console lit up. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission." The crew huddled around the main screen as a series of strange symbols appeared. Dr. Queasy's fingers flew over her keyboard. It's responding to our mathematical sequences. They understand." Over the next few hours, the humans and aliens exchanged more complex messages. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The aliens called themselves the Zarquin, and they were indeed in trouble. Using a combination of mathematics and simple drawings, the Zarquin explained their situation. Their fleet had been on a long exploratory mission when they encountered a strange anomaly in space. It had damaged their propulsion systems, leaving them stranded. "They've been stuck here for what seems like months," Queasy said, her voice filled with sympathy. "Their power reserves are almost depleted." Captain Chen made a decision. "We need to get closer. Yuri, bring us alongside their command ship. We're going to attempt a physical connection." As Earthlight maneuvered closer, the crew got their first clear view of the aliens. Through the windows of the command ship, they could see tall, slender figures with iridescent skin moving about. The aliens seemed just as curious, pressing close to their own windows to look at the human ship. "This is incredible," Dupont whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. Using a series of airlocks and adapters, Earthlight managed to create a sealed passage between the two ships. The moment had come for face-to-face contact. Captain Chen led the way, pushing herself through the passage in zero gravity. As she emerged into the alien ship, she found herself in a large circular room. And there, waiting for her, were the Zarquin. They were beautiful and strange, taller than humans, with elongated limbs and large almond-shaped eyes that shimmered with colors. Their skin seemed to pulse with gentle light, changing hues as they moved. One of the aliens stepped forward. It made a series of melodic clicks and whistles, then gestured to its chest. Chen realized it was introducing itself. "Hello," she said, smiling and placing a hand on her own chest. "I'm Sarah. We're here to help." The alien cocked its head, then mimicked her gesture. "Sus. Ah. Roar. Ah," it said slowly, its voice unlike anything Chen had ever heard. Over the next few hours, the humans and Zarquin worked to overcome their communication barriers. The aliens brought out devices that projected 3D images, using them to show the humans the extent of the damage to their fleet. "Their technology is incredible," Queasy said, examining one of the alien devices, "but their power systems are completely different from ours. Helping them is going to be a huge challenge." As the human crew prepared to return to Earthlight to report their findings, the lead Zarquin approached Chen. It held out a small glowing orb. Chen hesitated, then carefully took it. The orb came to life in her hands, projecting a 3D image of the galaxy. A bright point of light pulsed far from where they were. The alien pointed to it, making a sound that seemed sad. I think, I think that's their home, Chen said softly. They're showing us how far they are from home. As they made their way back to Earthlight, the crew was quiet, each lost in their own thoughts. They had made first contact, but now they faced an even greater challenge. How could they, representatives of a young spacefaring race, help these advanced aliens return to their distant home? Back on Earth, the news of the successful first contact spread rapidly. People around the world celebrated, but as details of the aliens' plight became known, a new sentiment began to grow. Humanity faced a test. Could they rise to the challenge and help their new galactic neighbors? As Earthlight prepared to transmit their full report back to Houston, Captain Chen looked out at the stranded alien fleet. "We came looking for answers," she said quietly. "Instead, we found a call for help. What we do next will define our species for generations to come." The crew nodded in agreement. Their mission had changed, but their determination was stronger than ever. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning. The news of the stranded alien fleet spread across Earth like wildfire. In every country, on every continent, people gathered around screens to watch the latest updates. The images of the Zarquin, with their shimmering skin and otherworldly grace, fascinated and frightened in equal measure. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, an emergency session was called. Representatives from every nation crowded into the General Assembly Hall, their faces a mix of excitement and concern. "We face an unprecedented situation," the Secretary General began, her voice echoing through the packed room. "For the first time in human history, we must decide how to respond to a plea for help from another species." The debate that followed was heated. Some nations argued for caution, fearful of the potential dangers of advanced alien technology. Others saw it as humanity's chance to prove itself on a galactic stage. "We cannot turn our backs on those in need," the representative from Kenya declared passionately. "It does not matter that they come from another world. They are living beings asking for our help." "But at what cost?" the Russian delegate countered. "We know nothing about these aliens. What if helping them puts Earth at risk?" As the debate raged on Earth, the crew of Earthlight continued their mission. Captain Sarah Chen and her team worked tirelessly, learning more about the Zarquin and their predicament. Their main propulsion system uses a form of energy we've never seen before, Dr. Queasy reported during a video conference with Earth. "But the principles behind it are not completely alien to us. I believe with time and resources, we could adapt our technology to help them." Back on Earth, the debate took an unexpected turn when Dr. Eliza Wong, a renowned physicist from Singapore, stepped up to the podium at the UN. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice calm but firm, "I've studied the data sent back by Earthlight. The technology of the Zarquin is indeed advanced, but not incomprehensible. By helping them, we have a unique opportunity to learn and grow. The scientific advancements we could make might solve many of Earth's own problems." Her words struck a chord with many. The tide of the debate began to shift. Meanwhile, in small towns and big cities around the world, ordinary people were having their own debates. In a cafe in Paris, a group of students argued passionately about the ethics of interstellar intervention. In a market in Mumbai, vendors and customers alike discussed the potential benefits and risks of alien contact. Social media exploded with opinions, memes, and heartfelt pleas. The hashtag Help the Zarquin began trending worldwide. People shared artworks depicting humans and Zarquin working together, symbols of interstellar friendship. But not everyone was convinced. In some corners of the internet, conspiracy theories flourished. Some claimed the aliens were a hoax, others that they were advance scouts for an invasion. As the days passed, protests both for and against helping the Zarquin sprang up in major cities. In London, thousands gathered in Trafalgar Square, holding signs that read, "We are not alone. Let's act like it," and Earth first. The pressure on world leaders to make a decision grew. Emergency polls were conducted in many countries, seeking public opinion on the matter. Finally, After a week of intense debate, the UN Security Council called for a vote. The tension was palpable as the votes were cast. Everyone held their breath as the results were tallied. In a historic moment, the decision was announced. Earth would help the Zarquin. The Secretary-General addressed the world. Today, we have chosen to extend a hand of friendship to our galactic neighbors. It will not be easy. It will require sacrifice and hard work. But in doing so, we show the best of what humanity can be. The announcement was met with cheers in some places, protests in others. But as the reality sank in, a sense of purpose began to spread. Humanity had a mission, one that would unite the planet like never before. In orbit around Earth, the crew of Earthlight received the news with a mix of relief and trepidation. Captain Chen gathered her team. "It's official," she said, her face serious. "We're going to help the Zarquin get home. It's going to be the biggest challenge humanity has ever faced, but I believe we're up to it." The crew nodded, determination in their eyes. They knew they were about to embark on a journey that would change human history forever. As Earthlight prepared to return to the Zarquin fleet with the good news, Captain Chen looked out at the stars. "Well," she said softly, "let's go make some new friends." The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The world had never seen anything like it. In research centers, universities, and tech companies across the globe, the brightest minds of humanity came together for a single purpose: to get the Zarquin home. At NASA's Johnson Space Center, a massive new division was set up. They called it Operation Cosmic Lifeline. Scientists and engineers from every corner of Earth poured in, bringing with them ideas, prototypes, and an unwavering determination to succeed. Dr. Eliza Wong, the physicist who had swayed public opinion, now found herself leading a team of international experts. Their task was to understand and replicate the Zarquin's advanced propulsion system. "It's like trying to build a smartphone with stone tools," she muttered one late night, staring at holographic projections of alien engine schematics. But give up. Never. Meanwhile, aboard Earthlight, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew worked tirelessly to bridge the communication gap with the Zarquin. Every day brought new breakthroughs and new challenges. "Look at this," Dr. Kwesi said excitedly one morning, pointing to a complex diagram the Zarquin had shared. "I think they're showing us how their energy matrix works. It's beautiful." Back on Earth, as governments poured resources into the project, private companies joined the race. Elon Musk announced that SpaceX would dedicate all its resources to developing new spacecraft capable of assisting the alien fleet. Not to be outdone, Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic quickly followed suit. In a surprising move, longtime rivals in the tech industry decided to put aside their differences. A joint statement from Apple, Google, and Microsoft declared their commitment to developing new AI systems to tackle the complex calculations needed for interstellar travel. But it wasn't just the big names making a difference. In a small workshop in Nairobi, a teenage girl named Amara Okafor tinkered with a homemade device. She had an idea about how to stabilize the energy fluctuations in the alien power cores. Little did she know, her invention would soon catch the attention of Dr. Wong and change the course of the entire operation. As weeks turned into months, progress was made. Hybrid engines, fusing human and Zarquin technology, began to take shape. The first tests were failures, but with each attempt, they got closer. On the diplomatic front, the United Nations established the first-ever Office of Extraterrestrial Affairs. Their job was to ensure smooth cooperation not just between nations, but between planets. The Zarquin, for their part, were overwhelmed by humanity's efforts. Through the now much improved communication systems, they expressed their gratitude and amazement at the speed of human innovation. "Your species continues to surprise us," the Zarquin leader, whose name roughly translated to Starlight Voyager, told Captain Chen. "In our travels, we have never encountered a young race with such determination and creativity." But as Earth celebrated each small victory, new challenges arose. The power systems on the Zarquin ships were deteriorating faster than anticipated. The race against time grew more urgent. In response, Dr. Wong proposed a daring plan. "We need to send teams to work directly on the alien ships," she announced during a global briefing. "It's risky, but it's our best chance to save them." The proposal was met with both excitement and concern. Working in alien environments posed unknown dangers. But as always, there was no shortage of volunteers. As the first human engineering teams prepared to board the Zarquin vessels, the world watched with bated breath. Live feeds showed engineers in specially designed suits floating through the cavernous alien engine rooms, their headlamps illuminating technology beyond human imagination. One of these engineers was Yuki Tanaka, a robotics expert from Japan. As she worked to interface human tech with the alien systems, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. "It's like being inside a dream," she whispered to herself, her words broadcast to millions watching at home. The days were long, the work grueling. But slowly, surely, progress was made. The first successful test of a hybrid engine sent cheers erupting across the globe. Strangers hugged in the streets, united in their joy and pride in what humanity had accomplished. As the teams on Earth and in space pushed themselves to the limit, Captain Chen received a message from Starlight Voyager. The Zarquin had a gift for humanity, a token of their appreciation. It was the schematics for a technology that could revolutionize Earth's energy production, potentially solving the planet's climate crisis. Chen smiled as she relayed the message to Earth. This mission to save a stranded alien fleet had turned into something much more. It was the beginning of a friendship that spanned the stars, a testament to what humanity could achieve when they worked together. As another long day of work came to an end, Dr. Wong looked out at the twinkling stars from her office window. "We're coming," she whispered, her words meant for the distant Zarquin homeworld. "We're bringing your children home." As Operation Cosmic Lifeline entered its 6th month, the initial excitement began to give way to frustration. Despite the best efforts of Earth's brightest minds, progress was slower than anyone had hoped. In the main control room of the Johnson Space Center, Dr. Eliza Wong stared at the latest test results, her face a mask of disappointment. "It's not working," she muttered, running a hand through her disheveled hair. "The energy output is still too unstable." Beside her, Captain Sarah Chen, who had returned to Earth to coordinate efforts, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure it out, Eliza. We have to." But time was not on their side. Reports from the Zarquin fleet were growing more alarming by the day. Their life support systems were failing, and their power reserves were almost depleted. As if the technical challenges weren't enough, a new problem arose. Reports began to surface of a group calling themselves Earth First, sabotaging research facilities and threatening scientists involved in the project. In London, a lab working on adapting Zarquin technology was set on fire. In Tokyo, a prominent xenobiologist narrowly escaped an assassination attempt. Fear began to spread among the scientific community. The United Nations held an emergency session to address the rising tensions. "We cannot let fear and ignorance derail this mission," the Secretary General declared. "The fate of an entire species rests in our hands." But the saboteurs were not the only ones doubting the mission. Some of the Zarquin themselves began to lose faith in humanity's ability to help them. During a tense video conference, a Zarquin elder, his skin pulsing with agitated purple hues, spoke to the Earth leadership. "We appreciate your efforts," he said, his words translated by the now advanced communication systems. "But perhaps it is time we accepted our fate. We do not wish to be a burden on your young species." The suggestion sent shockwaves through the human team. The thought of giving up was unthinkable. Captain Chen stepped forward, her voice firm. "With all due respect," she said, looking directly at the alien elder, "that's not an option. We made a promise to help you, and we intend to keep it." Her words seemed to resonate with the Zarquin. The elder's skin shifted to a calmer blue. "Your determination is admirable," he conceded. But even as Chen's words renewed the alien's hope, more challenges arose. A critical component of the hybrid engine, developed in a lab in Brazil, failed catastrophically during testing. Months of work went up in smoke, quite literally. Dr. Wong and her team worked around the clock to find a solution. Coffee cups piled up, sleep became a luxury, and tempers began to fray. In the midst of this crisis, an unexpected breakthrough came from an unlikely source. Amara Okafor, the teenage inventor from Nairobi, had been quietly refining her energy stabilization device. When she finally presented her improved design to Dr. Wong, the older scientist's eyes widened in amazement. This could work," Wong whispered, poring over Amara's schematics. "It's brilliant." With renewed energy, the team incorporated Amara's device into their designs. The next round of tests showed promising results, but they were still far from a complete solution. As word of the progress spread, so did a new wave of hope. But the Earth-first extremists were not deterred. They launched their most audacious attack yet, attempting to hack into the main servers controlling communication with the Zarquin fleet. For several tense hours, contact with the aliens was lost. The world held its breath, fearing the worst. It took the combined efforts of cybersecurity experts from around the globe to repel the attack and restore communications. When contact was reestablished, the Zarquin were understandably shaken. "Perhaps," Starlight Voyager said, his voice tinged with sadness, "it would be better if we left your system. We do not wish to bring conflict to your world." The suggestion hit Captain Chen like a physical blow. After all they had been through, after all the progress they had made, they couldn't give up now. In that moment, she made a decision. "No," she said firmly, "we're not giving up, and you're not leaving. Humanity has faced challenges before, and we've always overcome them. This is no different." Her words, broadcast around the world and to the Zarquin fleet, struck a chord. Social media exploded with messages of support. #StandWithZarquin began trending globally. In cities across the planet, people took to the streets, not in protest, but in solidarity. Humans and Zarquin alike watched in awe as millions joined hands, forming human chains that stretched for miles. As images of the demonstrations reached the Zarquin ships, Starlight Voyager's skin shimmered with a color the humans had never seen before. "In all our travels," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "we have never witnessed such unity, such determination." The wave of global support reinvigorated the mission. New security measures were put in place to protect the research. Amara's device was refined further. Slowly but surely, they began to make real progress. As they prepared for the next crucial test, Dr. Wong looked around at her team. Human and Zarquin working side by side. "Whatever happens," she said, "we're in this together." The fate of two species hung in the balance as they initiated the test sequence. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would not give up without a fight. The clock was ticking. With each passing day, the power reserves of the Zarquin fleet dwindled further. The once vibrant lights of their massive ships now flickered weakly in the vast darkness of space. In the bustling command center of Operation Cosmic Lifeline, Dr. Eliza Wong stood before a sea of tired faces. "We have 1 month," she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. 1 month before the Zarquin life support systems fail completely. A hush fell over the room. The enormity of their task seemed to press down on every shoulder. But then a voice broke the silence. "Then we better get to work," said Amara Okafor, the young inventor from Nairobi. Her confident smile was infectious, and soon determination replaced despair in the eyes of the assembled team. As the final push began, every resource on Earth was directed towards the rescue effort. Factories worked around the clock, producing components for the hybrid engines. Universities emptied as students and professors alike joined the global effort. In orbit, Captain Sarah Chen coordinated a fleet of human spacecraft, now positioned around the Zarquin ships. They had become a lifeline, providing emergency power and resources to the stranded aliens. "We're going to make it," Chen reassured Starlight Voyager during their daily briefing. The Zarquin leader's skin, once a vibrant swirl of colors, had faded to a pale blue. But at Chen's words, a flicker of brighter hues rippled across his form. Back on Earth, Dr. Wong and her team faced a critical moment. The latest version of the hybrid engine was ready for testing. If it worked, they would have their solution. If it failed, well, failure wasn't an option. As the test began, millions around the world watched live streams, holding their breath. In the control room, Wong gripped the edge of her console, her knuckles white. The engine roared to life, its glow a mix of human and Zarquin technology. Readings flooded the screens, numbers climbing higher and higher. "It's working," someone whispered. Then louder, "It's working." Cheers erupted in the control room, echoed by celebrations around the globe. But their joy was short-lived. As the engine reached peak output, alarms blared. "We have a containment breach," shouted one of the engineers. "The energy levels are too high." Wong's mind raced. They were so close. They couldn't fail now. In a flash of inspiration, she turned to Amara. "Your stabilizer," she said urgently. "Can we modify it to handle this level of output?" Amara's eyes widened, then narrowed in concentration. "Yes," she said after a moment. "But we'll need to boost the capacity. And we'll need a lot of them." Wong nodded and turned to the global command channel. "This is Dr. Wong. We need every available 3D printer working on HFY stabilizers." Now, around the world, machines whirred to life. In factories, homes, and schools, 3D printers began producing Amara's invention. A global chain of volunteers mobilized to collect and deliver the stabilizers. As the last hours ticked away, tension mounted. The modified engine was installed in the Lid Zarquin ship, surrounded by a network of HFY stabilizers. It was time for the final test. In the control room, Wong looked at her team. Humans of every nationality stood shoulder to shoulder with Zarquin engineers. "Whatever happens," she said, "I'm proud of what we've accomplished here." Chen's voice came over the comm from orbit. "We're ready up here, Doc. It's now or never." Wong took a deep breath and pressed the activation key. Initiating startup sequence. The engine hummed to life. Energy readings climbed steadily. Every eye was fixed on the monitors, watching for any sign of instability. As the power output approached critical levels, the HFY stabilizers glowed brightly. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed they might not be enough. But then the readings stabilized. The engine settled into a steady rhythm, its glow a beautiful blend of human and Zarquin technology. "We did it," Wong breathed. Then louder, "We did it." The control room erupted in cheers and tears of joy. On the screens, they could see the Zarquin ships lighting up, power flowing through long-dormant systems. In orbit, Chen watched in awe as the massive alien fleet came to life. Starlight Voyager's voice came over the comm, filled with emotion. "You've saved us," he said simply. "Our children will sing songs of this day for generations to come." As news of the success spread, celebrations broke out across the globe. Humans and Zarquin embraced, their differences forgotten in the joy of the moment. But even as they celebrated, Wong and her team knew their work wasn't finished. They had built one engine. Now they needed to outfit an entire fleet. The final push had succeeded, but the greatest challenge still lay ahead. Yet as Wong looked at the faces around her, human and alien, united in purpose, she knew that together, they could accomplish anything. The rescue of the Zarquin had only just begun, but already it had changed humanity forever. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. With the success of the first hybrid engine, humanity and the Zarquin worked tirelessly to outfit the entire alien fleet. Factories around the world churned out components day and night. Every available spacecraft was put into service, ferrying supplies and workers to the stranded ships. Dr. Eliza Wong, now a household name, coordinated the global effort from the International Space Station. She floated in the observation module, watching as another human ship docked with a Zarquin vessel. "How's it looking down there?" Captain Sarah Chen's voice crackled over the comm. She was planetside, overseeing the final preparations for the Zarquin's departure. "We're on schedule," Wang replied, a note of pride in her voice. "The last engine will be installed by tomorrow." As the day of departure drew near, a bittersweet mood settled over Earth. The Zarquin had become more than just visitors. They were friends, colleagues, and in some cases, family. Their imminent departure was cause for both celebration and sadness. In New York, the United Nations convened a special session. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered alongside Zarquin delegates. The Secretary General stood at the podium, her voice filled with emotion. "Today, we stand on the brink of a new era," she declared. "We have proven that humanity can rise above its differences, that we can achieve the impossible when we work together. The friendship we have forged with the Zarquin will forever change our place in the universe." Starlight Voyager, the Zarquin leader, stepped forward. His skin shimmered with a kaleidoscope of colors as he addressed the assembly. "Words cannot express our gratitude," he said, his translated voice resonating through the hall. "You have saved not just our lives, but our entire civilization. We go home now, but we leave a part of ourselves with you. And we take a part of you with us." He raised his hand, revealing a small glowing orb. "This contains the coordinates of our homeworld, and an open invitation. Earth will always be welcome among the stars." The chamber erupted in applause. Humans and Zarquin embraced, tears flowing freely. As the day of launch arrived, billions around the world tuned in to watch. The Zarquin fleet, once dark and lifeless, now hummed with power. One by one, the massive ships began to rise from their orbital positions. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Chen stood beside Starlight Voyager. They watched as Earth grew smaller in the view screen. "I never thought I'd see this day," Chen said softly. Starlight Voyager's skin pulsed with warm hues. "Nor did we. Your species has surprised us at every turn, Sarah. You've given us a future we thought lost." As the fleet prepared for its first faster-than-light jump, a final transmission came from Earth. It was Amara Okafor, the young inventor whose brilliance had been crucial to their success. "Safe travels, friends," she said, her bright smile beaming across the light years. "Don't forget to write." With a flash of light that outshone the stars, the Zarquin fleet vanished into the depths of space. A cheer went up from every corner of the globe. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had saved an alien civilization. In the days that followed, Earth was a changed planet. The technologies developed during Operation Cosmic Lifeline revolutionized industries overnight. Clean energy, advanced medical treatments, and breakthroughs in space travel became realities rather than dreams. But more than that, the spirit of global cooperation persisted. The barriers between nations, once thought insurmountable, seemed trivial in the face of what they had accomplished together. Universities established new departments of xenobiology and interstellar relations. Children looked up at the stars with new wonder, dreaming not just of being astronauts, but of being ambassadors to alien worlds. 6 months after the Zarquin's departure, the first signal arrived from their home planet. The message was simple: "We are home. Thank you, Earth. The stars await you." Dr. Wang, standing in mission control as the message was received, felt tears spring to her eyes. Captain Chen, beside her, squeezed her hand. "So," Chen said with a grin, "ready for our next adventure?" Wang looked around at the faces of her team, then up at the starry sky visible through the window. In saving the Zarquin, humanity had found its place in the cosmos. They had proven themselves worthy of the stars. With a smile, she nodded. Always. As night fell around the world, people stepped outside, looking up at the sky with new eyes. The universe no longer seemed vast and empty, but full of possibility and friendship. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger world, and the future had never looked brighter. The end was just the beginning.